Hi again, everyone. Welcome to your Foundations lesson today. We are still in Unit 4. Yesterday, we talked about the different kinds of ED sounds. Today, we're going to talk about how we mark them. And we did see this a little bit before, but this will hopefully show you exactly how to do it for the different ED sounds. And remember, we said there are 3 of them, so we're going to look at all 3. But first, let's take care of our trick words. Let's start with a review of trick words. Okay, your first one is use, use. And you know the drill. Just pause it after I give the word so that I can make these videos a little shorter. And here's how use is spelled. Your next word is used, used. And here is that word. The next word is again, again. And here it is. The fourth trick word is sure, sure. Are you sure you know how to spell this word, sure? And here it is. The fifth word is animal, animal. And here we go. And the last word is, very important, please, please. And here it is. So remember, in this unit, we've been talking about five suffixes, but now we're really focusing on ED. And ED is confusing because it actually has 3 different sounds, and it causes a lot of people to misspell words that have ED in them as a suffix. So let's take a word like spelled. A lot of people will just spell this S-P-E-L-D. Well, the first thing we want to ask ourselves is, what's the base word? Now, the base word is spell, and we might remember spell from when we learned our bonus letter. So here's how we're going to handle this. We're going to underline the base word. Okay, that's the part that has no suffix. There's spell. And we're going to scoop it. Okay, that's where our syllable is. We're not going to scoop the suffixes. And it's a short E, so it's going to get a brev. It's spelled, it's not spieled. Okay, and because it has a consonant sound at the end and a short vowel, that's what that E is, we give it a C because it's a closed syllable. And let's not forget that S and P are a blend. So we're going to underline the S and underline the P separately. And then, as we said, we're going to put a circle around the suffix. Now, because spelled makes a D sound, we don't pronounce that E, right? We're going to do this. We're going to put a little D above the suffix. Now, that's a whole lot of marking. There are a lot of decorations on that Christmas tree, right? But this is how we're going to do it because it's going to help us fix our spelling mistakes later. Okay? So that's how we're going to spell the words that have an ed suffix that sounds like D, like spelled and called and played. Okay? Now, let's look at the ones that, again, are ed suffixes. This time they sound like id. Okay, so let's take the word dusted. Well, of course we have a blend there, so we'll put a line under those, and we will find our base word, dust. Okay? When I dust something, I might use a duster. What are you doing, Mom? I'm dusting. Dust is that base word. And we're going to scoop the syllable, okay? And because it's a short vowel, it's going to get a brev. It's dusted. It's not dusted, okay? And then we are going to put a C underneath because it's a normal closed syllable. And we're going to put a circle around the suffix. Now, this time, we're not going to put a D above the suffix. We're going to put ID because that's what we hear. Okay? It sounds like it's dusted with an I. We don't say the E the way we would say it in a word like egg. We don't say dust head. It's dusted. So we're making the I sound with our mouth, but the spelling is still ED. That's the important thing to remember. Okay? So words that we're going to have like wanted and hunted and wilted and folded, all of them might sound like they have an ID at the end, but it's actually ED. Okay, and then let's take a word like checked. Well, checked also has an ED at the end, but it doesn't sound like an ED at all. So we'll underline our base word, check. We'll put a scoop under the syllable, a brev above the E. Okay, it's a closed syllable. We'll underline the CH and the CK because they're both digraphs. And we'll put a circle around the suffix. And this time we're going to put a T above it. So we have spelled, checked, dusted. Three different sounds, but they all have the same spelling. And that's really, really important for us to remember when we're spelling. Okay, all right. Now, let's move on. I know it's a little confusing, but here's the good news. You will know the sound when you hear it. Look at this sentence. Before school, he stuffed his books into his bag. Well, you're going to say, "Whoa, it sounds like a T, but that doesn't make any sense." Words don't end that way when we talk about something that happened. So you're going to be able to say, "No, that's what it sounds like." But I know my base word is stuff, and I remember that it's a word that has a bonus letter. Okay? And I know it happened in the past because it says before school, but it has to be ED. Okay? Look at the next one. The kite landed in a tree. Sure, it sounds like ID, but we're going to remember that our base word is land, and we don't have any things that happened in the past that end in ID. They end in ED. Okay? So this is going to help you, and you'll even see these words now start to come up in the daily edit. So you will make fewer spelling errors. You're going to hear the word dishes, but you're going to remember that S sometimes sounds like a Z. And even though it sounds like is, it's actually an ES, like boxes and foxes and dishes. You're going to hear the word handed, like he handed me a note. And you're going to remember, oh, well, my base word is hand, and it happened in the past, and it sounds like ID, but it's not. It must be ED. And you'll hear a word like coldest, like that was the coldest day of the year, and it does sound like ist. No one says cold est, okay? But if we know our suffixes really well and our base word, cold, colder, coldest, it sounds like ist, but really it's est, okay? Golfer, it really does sound like it could be IR or UR, but We've learned that ER as a suffix means a person who does something. A person who plays golf is a golfer. A person who plays is a player. A person who teaches is a teacher. Those are all ER words. So we're not just going to go by what it sounds like. We're going to follow the rules that we know for suffixes. Okay, foxes. It does sound like it's fox is. But if we know our base words, fox, and we know that one fox can end with an X, but two will not end with an IZ, that's just how it sounds. It's going to be ES. And we remember again that S could sound like a Z. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, don't worry, we're going to practice this. All right, so let's see if you can spell these words. And I have 8 for you again. The first one is quilted. Quilted. And I'll tell you this, your base word is quilt. Quilt. Qu, 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 ilt. Quilt. Quilted. Okay, think about this one carefully. There it is. Your next one is banged. Banged. I banged my knee on the desk. Banged. Take away the suffix and think about your base word. Bang. Banged is what it sounds like with the suffix. Okay, and here's the word. The next one is filled. I filled the pitcher with iced tea. Filled. Now I know what it sounds like, but think of your base word first. Fill. Fill. Filled. Okay, here it is. Your next one is drilled. I drilled a hole into the piece of wood. Drilled. Do you know what your base word is? It's drill. Okay, and let's have a look at it. The next one is stranded. 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 I was stranded on the roadside because I had run out of gas. Okay, here it is. Okay, the next word is flossed. Flossed. I flossed my teeth before bed. Flossed. Okay, and your base word is floss. I know we haven't done this one very much. Flossed. And here it is. Okay. Your next word is thanked. She thanked me for helping her with her heavy boxes. She thanked me. In other words, she said thank you. Thanked. Think about your base word. Thank. Thanked. Okay, let me show you what it looks like. All right, and the last one is crossed. Crossed. She crossed the street with the help of the crossing guard. Crossed. Think of your base word. It's cross. Okay, let's have a look at it. Okay, how did you do? It's a little difficult, but hopefully you used the strategy and thought about your base word first. Okay? All right, and when I think of crossed, I think of brave sailors and captains who crossed the ocean. It must have been so exciting being out there on these great sailing ships, not really knowing where they were going. Okay, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed your little Fundations voyage today and that you have a great day. Okay, keep practicing. You can now work on any of the worksheets that you have. Okay, and I will talk to you again very soon. The end.